Hi, and welcome back to Just Ask the Question. I am your host, Brian Karem. Today, it's a pleasure to have with us former presidential candidate, but also a congressman from California. My kids love him. They live out there. And more interestingly, a subject of a DOJ investigation recently. And so we're here to talk to Congressman Eric Swalwell. Eric, thanks for coming back to the show.
Of course. Thanks, Brian.
Glad to have you. So we'll go into the break, but I'd like you to consider this question as we go into the break. Were you surprised? We've got a few minutes left, and the unidentified aerial phenomenon that the report that's going to come out of the Pentagon, I have had more questions on that in the last 2-3 months than I've had in the last 30 years on this particular phenomenon. What do you think is going to happen? And I hesitate to ask, I mean, if you don't believe in life elsewhere, what's the use of the universe? But that's really not the question. I guess the question is, do you think we're being visited by people from other realms?
Oh, gee, Brian, look at the time.
Best answer I've had yet to that. Gee, love the answer. I got to go.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to some of these briefings that we have coming as well. I mean, I go into it completely open-minded.
Yeah.
But I think though of the. Did you see that? It was all over Twitter a couple of months ago. The floating ship in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like this, it was an optical illusion.
Right.
Where because of like atmospheric pressure or something, a ship like a miles out in the ocean looked like it was like 100 yards above the water. I do wonder how much of this will be explained by just optical illusions or just photographic issues that existed. So I'm open-minded to all of this. It seems like
have you ever seen anything you couldn't explain?
What's that?
Have you ever seen anything you couldn't explain?
No. Have you?
Well, my mom one time in bib overalls, but other than that, no, my kids say that they have, and my mother has said she has, and my wife has said she's seen something she couldn't explain. But that's a far cry from saying.
Yeah, but I'm open-minded. I think that's the best thing we could do. The universe seems too big that we would be alone. I watched. Did you see the Neil deGrasse? Is it Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Tyson, yeah.
Yeah, he was interviewed by Bill Maher on Friday night about the Big Bang Theory, and it kind of touched on some of this. So I go into it. It was a fascinating interview. I'm open-minded, and that's my job, is to be open-minded and see if we need to project more resources on learning this.
Well, it's fascinating, some of the things that have cropped up, and pilots are among the best trained observers you can have of aerial phenomenon, because they're out there, they see it every day. So I have legitimate questions, and it's a legitimate issue, but it's been taken lightly and discredited for so many years that I don't know if getting to the bottom of it is something that's going to be done by this particular report. But it would be interesting. I'll say this much: the QAnon supporters who keep telling me the reptilians have taken over the White House and Congress, I have no evidence of that.
Yeah. Or the cicada message with Biden.
Yeah, the cicada. All I know about the cicada is, honest to God, is my dog has not eaten dog food for the last 3 days. She just comes to the back door, asks for garlic butter and Old Bay seasoning, and that's.
They're great. They're great fishing bait, though.
That's true. That is very true. I have fished with them, but I kind of feel sorry for them. 17 years underground, they come out, they get to party for a few weeks, have some fun, and then they die.
They got a trout wrapped around you.
Yeah, that's pretty soon. That's the way that goes. Well, listen, I know you bitten you. Doesn't mean he's in the corner not waiting to do it. He's there. He's a rattlesnake waiting to strike. Do you know that?
So Brian, just because Donald Trump is not in office does not mean that Trumpism, cronyism, corruption, misogyny, racism are not manifesting themselves in his wannabe followers, right? These
Oh,
Whether it's my colleagues in the Congress who want to be the next Trump and fill the
how do
void.
you deal with them?
Well,
Come on, it's got to be between. I mean, between
have
you and me and everybody's listening.
yeah, but
that's
have I told you
tough.
my pro wrestling theory about these guys?
No, go ahead.
I mean, just like any kid, I grew up, watching WWF at the time, and it was eye opening when I was like 10 or 11, and your dad had to tell you, hey son, this is all fake. These guys don't really hate each other. They're not really hitting each other with steel chairs.
Right.
It's just a show. And what I learned, especially in the Trump era, was that for most of these guys, they don't look at their constituents as the people they represent. They look at them as their fans. So it's not. So during the Senate trial, this is the best example I can give you. During the Senate trial, I was so fortunate to run into Ted Cruz in the Senate men's bathroom, and Cruz introduces himself to me and says, "Hey, I just want you to know you're doing a great job out there." And I thought, is this guy for real? He just had literally within 24 hours had scorched me on Twitter, had said some shit about me on Fox News. And in the bathroom, it's like we're two pro wrestlers backstage, and it's like, hey, don't worry that I just hit you over the head with the steel chair. Like we're bros. We're supposed to like each other. And that to me, actually, Brian, is worse than somebody who actually believes in the crazy, right? So I'll give you the craziest thing you're gonna hear today. I'm gonna compliment Marjorie Taylor Greene because when she walks by me in the halls of Congress, she wants to kill me. She looks at me and I'm her mortal enemy. She believes in her crazy. But Ted Cruz, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, it's all performative. I'm telling you, because they will see me and they'll be like, Swalwell, what's going on, man? How you doing, buddy? Like because they don't think that I should take it personally, what they say about me in the public realm, because that's just the World Wrestling Federation ring. That's how they see it.
Well, we're going to take a quick short break. And while we're, I'd like to ask you one question going out today. Reality Winner was released from prison. Would you support a national shield law to keep reporters from having to give up confidential sources?
Yes.
Great answer. And the short one too. We'll be right back.